Our first presenter is Hilde Merete Haug. She's originally educated as a social scientist. She's been working for many years in development aid, particularly in the with issues of reproductive and sexual health and women issues. And she's now a documentary director. She's directed the feature documentaries like Mother's Faith, My Destiny, about female circumcision, and God Cannot Be Googled, about Catholic nuns. She's working now on another project.
Thank you, Christina. And thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this seminar, which is extremely important, I think, and just in time. So I will focus on involuntary childlessness, and I will utilize my personal story. When I was a child, I was asked what I wanted to become when I grew up. Sometimes I responded, a proper mom. When I was 25, I wanted children very strongly, but my partner at that time was far from ready, so I decided to wait until the time was right. When I was 30, everybody around me, my sisters and my friends, gave birth to one lovely child after another. And I occasionally stated, half serious, half as a joke, I'm afraid I will become 40 before I give birth to my first child. Today, I'm 54, and I've never given birth to my own child. So what happened to the mom in me, and what happened to me who never became a mom? These are the questions I'm asking in my documentary with the title, The Mom in Me. I want to explore what happens to a person when his or her inner desire does not materialize. What happens to a woman when her desire of carrying and giving birth to a child, her desire of loving her own child, and her desire of bringing up and witness a child's development never becomes a reality? What happens to her emotionally, psychologically, and physiologically? Is this mainly a question of individual and societal expectations, norms, and values? Does the biology mean anything at all? In our society, we, or some, claim that motherhood basically can be discussed using cultural and societal norms and values. And yes, of course, to a certain extent, we can, because motherhood has different connotations in different cultural and societal settings. Motherhood has different consequences, both socially and economically, in different parts of the world. But becoming a mother is not only a cultural or societal phenomenon. We can't get away from the fact that the female body is designed to give birth. So what are the consequences for a woman's mind, a woman's body, when this does not happen? Trying to find some answers, I'm utilizing my own personal story in this documentary, and I'm portraying two strong women, namely Christina Arquetti and Linda Malm, and I'm also including perspectives from a few other women. In addition, I'm visiting some experts, among others a professor emeritus in psychology and a psychotherapist. Both of them have tremendous experience with this topic. My personal story is a bit different from the ones who have tried and tried to become pregnant and never succeeded. My problem was that I started trying far too late, and therefore I missed it. I had in total 3 miscarriages, and I will never get to know for sure whether the reason why I didn't get my own children was because I started too late, or if it was because my uterus could not hold on to an embryo. It has taken me many years to be able to talk about this in public. The last time I tried to become pregnant was in 2009. That is soon 9 years ago. And I started developing this documentary only about 2 years ago. It was not even in my mind earlier to speak out like I'm doing now. But now I'm not childless any longer, fortunately. I have stepchildren and step-grandchildren, and I even have a foster son. And there are lots of other children around me. So I have close relations to my niece and my nephews, to the children of several friends, and I recently even became a grand aunt. So I guess this is the reason why I'm now able to expose my own story. But why should I speak out? Making a documentary is in itself quite demanding, and then to be a director and to be filmed at the same time, in addition to do the work of processing all the emotional and mental experiences and reactions related to my own story, is extremely energy consuming. So I often ask myself, why on earth am I doing this? Why should I go through this emotional pain again? The first answer is that it is so important to throw light on this topic. It is so important to make people in general understand what this is all about, because it has so many individual, collective, and societal consequences, both health-wise, economically, politically, and culturally, which we have partly discussed already. The second answer is that it is a healing process. To relive your experiences, to talk about them with others who have experienced the same as yourself, to share it with experts. All this is some kind of a therapy. For many years, I have often been critical to people who expose their private life in public. I have thought of it as narcissistic and self-centered. I have never really understood why one should turn the spotlight at oneself, and especially not on myself. But this time it is different. This is a story about sorrow and pain. This is a story about general psychological and physical health. This is a story about a public health issue which have consequences for many individuals as well as for the whole society. But it is a huge task to make a film about some of the most challenging and difficult aspects of life, namely how to handle sorrow and emotional pain and the sense of exclusion, the sense of loneliness. It is a struggle, but we're working on it. It is vital for me that this film also is about the beautiful aspects of life, because life is beautiful even without children, or even if you do not have your own biological children. The film will therefore also contain humor and warmth, happiness and love. And in a way, this is what life is all about, isn't it? It switches continuously between joy and sorrow, between pleasure and pain, between light and dark. So in a way, this is a film about life itself, a film about how life is being lived by many of us. The film is also about reconciliation, about how to learn to live with your destiny, and the possibility of thinking that this was meant to be, that your life was meant for something else than becoming a mother. So, Christina has given me the permission to show. Yes, but you are. To show some of the film material, which is a bit scary because the film is still in production. Wait.
You keep on talking.
Okay. We have not finalized shooting. The project is in development, but I still wanted to try to put together some elements from the material, just to give you some glimpses about the film. Yeah, but maybe we should. Can we turn off the light? Tore, maybe you can draw the curtains down. Because the quality of film on a screen like this is always quite bad, so we just have to make it as good as possible. So just remember, I mean, this is not a film, so don't don't be critical. It's just a collection of Okay, so then. No? Now it goes. What is this? Ifølge mine foreldre så sa jeg allerede da jeg var 4-5 år at jeg ønsket å bli en ordentlig mamma. Jeg har ingen klar erindring om det selv. Men jeg kan på en måte erindre følelsen, skjønner du? Eller liksom stemningen rundt det. allerede da jeg var 19, faktisk, så kom den følelsen tilbake. Men da var jeg på en måte veldig klar på at jeg skulle få en akademisk utdannelse. Så ventet jeg for lenge. Det er jo flere år siden jeg på en måte erkjente at dette kommer ikke til å skje med meg. Det er jo fysisk vondt.
Hi.
Hi, Christina.
And how are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you too.
This is the question that keeps on coming back to me, is what was the point of the life of my parents and of all my ancestors, in fact, if then there's nobody after me? Not having a child, it just deletes the past and deletes also the future, because there's nobody after me.
I understand what you're saying, because I was very concerned about that for a while as well. But, I mean, you're a successful researcher. And when you say that you're not leaving anything behind, that is not really true. Because I think you leave traces in other people, in both children and adults. Even though your genes are not there. Yeah, you can definitely live in the future, even though your genes don't continue.
But at the same time, there is something about the materiality of the genes, of having somebody coming after you. I think really quite often about death, I mean, these days, and how knowing that there is no child after me makes me feel like there is some kind of death sentence on me. I will die more than other people in a way.
För en sak är ju att vi mår inte bra när vi inte får det barn som vi vill ha. Men varför är det så himla angeläget att få barn? Och då kan vi börja titta på livet och världen och evolutionen och biologin och kroppen, och vi kan titta på psyket, alltså hur vi faktiskt förhåller oss till vår egen värld, vår egen identitet. Så det är så många krafter som strålar samman i den här individen då, som är kvinnan eller mannen då, och i det här paret. Så det blir en sån enorm kraft i det här. Alla av oss letar efter det jag kallar för en existentiell struktur. Vi måste ha en ordning på orsak och verkan, så att säga. Jag har väldigt svårt att ta det här, jaha, det blev så här. Ja, men varför blev det på det sättet?
Så det var först efter att jag fyllt 43 som jag tror att jag började kunna börja sörja på något sätt, kunna börja ta in. Och då kände jag väl ganska snabbt att jag var ensam. Varför pratar man bara om ofrivillig barnlöshet som en period innan man får barn? Då kändes det som att jag inte riktigt fick finnas, att det fanns ingen plats för mig. Jag kände att jag fick ingen förebild, eller jag önskade så att jag hade bara haft någon som kunde säga till mig att man kan leva ett bra liv utan barn. Vil du si litt om hva du skriver om?
Kanske att det kommer att bli titeln på boken. Men det behöver ju landa lite. Det är för att den heter Andra sidan tröskeln.
Det er en veldig fin titel, da. Jeg tenker andre siden av terskelen. Det kan jo være så mye. Det er jo å gå fra et rom til et annet.
Ja,
Også.
så kan det vara.
Ja. Nå har du vært her så langt i livet.
Mm.
Så krysser du den terskelen, og så kommer du inn i det rommet. Så er du der.
Mm. För min tröskel ser ut så här. Många som jag pratar med förstår inte. Då tycker de att nej, men det ska inte gå ner. Det ska vara uppåt. Nej, men alltså, jag menar att det är negativt att det går ner igen.
Nej, men du kommer ju därifrån. Du kommer ju från ett sted och så må du bestige en barriär på en måte. Alltså, du må liksom klättra över något.
Jag tror att det är lättare liksom, när man har kommit hit. För det är lite kämpigt att klättra upp för berget här. När du är här uppe så är det lättare att... Då har man banat vägen för att se möjligheterna som kommer här.
I ettertid så har vi fått disse superbarnebarna da, som vi har et nydelig forhold til. Men det som er ideelt nå er jo det alle besteforeldre opplever, er jo at du kan gi det tilbake når du ikke orker mer. At vi har nå altså fra 0 til 7 år, vi kan velge også på øverste hylle hvilket alderstrinn vi ønsker å ha hjemme i helgen. Skal vi smukke, eller skal vi spille fotball?
Forsiktig, nå trekker stolen litt nærmere da. Skal han kose masse? Se. Bare kose.
Folkene, fra benken eller fra bordet? Jeg føler jo på mange måter at livet mitt er veldig fylt av alt det som jeg savnet da, og tenkte på som meningsfylt med det å ha barn.
We're moving on to the second speaker, who is Linda Malm. She came all the way from Stockholm. She started by writing a blog called Andra sidan tröskeln .se. She also founded a Facebook group, and she's now finishing a book about her experience of being involuntary childless in Sweden. Linda is also a coach and a counselor. And she also arranges a group meeting for those who haven't fulfilled the dream of a child.
Thank you, Christina, for so interesting to be here. I feel so enthusiastic with all this conversation, and I listen to everyone and just I'm a bit slow in my head, so I'm gonna take everything with me home and just put it down here. See. And so this is the book from the film. It's with me everywhere. Now you see where I live as well. So now you know me. So I'm sure. Well, I had prepared something to say today as well. So all your thoughts and what you've been saying today is making me very inspiring. So I just want to write new things. But anyways, as you probably understand by now, I'm involuntary childless, and I say forever. And I strongly wanted to be a mother, and I did everything I could to reach to my goal. I mean, I literally turned my body inside out. I spent all my money on all kinds of treatments and health, and when people came to me and just say, go on holiday or take deep breaths or anything, and I just, this was so frustrating. Like, I'm doing the best I can, and I was really, working hard. But it's strange somehow to say that you work hard, because at the same time you need to relax and take it easy and slow down. So me and my husband, we went through 4 IVF treatments, but I did like once a year. I wanted to, have a life between them. And I met my husband quite late. I was 35, and we wanted to have all the time we could together before the child came, because the child always comes. That's what I thought. But when I realized that I wouldn't succeed to become a mother, it felt so scary. I thought I was the only one in the whole world. The message I got from society was that there is help for everything through the fertility clinics. And if it, after all, doesn't work, there's always a possibility to just adopt. In my presentation, I wrote that my 4 IVF treatments didn't end up in a baby. It ended up in breast cancer. And when you have breast cancer, or cancer at all, you're not allowed to adopt. And I didn't know that. So it was kind of the last door that shut ahead of me. So I felt the decision was incorrect, and I felt discriminated. My oncologist said I was discriminated, and I was the odd one out. But since I went through cancer treatments, I experienced that kind of treatment. I was very well taken care of. It was all these nurses and treatments and rehabs and meetups and activities, because it was important to meet others in the same situation, to heal and process everything. So I did that, and I was ready to move on, because I was going to adopt. But when I came into this new situation, at being childless means, there was nothing. It was like entering a big black hole with just my own echo in there. There was no one there to respond to me. So that was my biggest existential crisis. And I hear sometimes, and I can just agree, that the cancer treatment was a part of my life, and it's behind me now. But the childlessness is here now and like forever in the future. It reminds me every day in all kinds of situations in society. So I started searching information about being childless forever in Sweden, but I didn't find anything. So I started searching in English, and there I found great support. I think involuntary childlessness is more common in England, and perhaps that's because of that. Because there are less support in becoming a parent in England. That's what I thought, because in Sweden, you get all the opportunities with help from the government, with all support you can have. And this means also we are a smaller group in Sweden, and we also have less support in being involuntary childless. In fact, there's none support at all. So there's really a lot of work to be done there. So I've been to London to participate to Judy Days from the Gateway Women's Reignite Weekend for a big meetup with others in the same situation. And I recognized this from the cancer treatment, and I said, this is it. I have to go to England to experience it. And I went to see Jessica Hepburn's Fertility Fest. It's a big event in London as well, and met my friends there. So now I have childless friends all over Europe, and we have European meetups. So, but after doing this for a while, I wanted to do something in Sweden as well. So now I'm trying to create meetups in Sweden for people like me. because as I said in the movies, always when I watched TV or read a magazine where they discussed involuntary childlessness, it was like this period of time before they got the child they long for. And I remember feeling so excluded. Because if they could say they were involuntary childless, then what was I supposed to call me? Permanent involuntary childless or involuntary childless forever? Because when you talk about involuntary childless, it's like everyone who experiences a fertility treatment. So I have always had to explain myself like, no, it's not a period, it's like forever. But I felt that I was treated unfair by society, and I wanted to change that. Because there is this huge expectation in society to have children, and therefore it is hard for people in general to understand that we even exist. And since I started my blog and a Facebook group, I have met many women in the same situation. And I really feel that I have found a group for us where we can feel safe and have a place of belonging. And the members in the group, they're like, sometimes they write to me and said, I don't think I'm ready yet to be in the group, but I just want to say hi and to explain my situation. But they said, you can just try and have a look in the group and see if you're ready for it, and then you can get out of it again. So just being you are in the same situation as all the women in this group, but still you're so scared of enter the group because there are so strong emotions involved. And these women haven't even told their friends or anyone, and they're taking care of all these strong emotions by themselves. So, I mean, but as we discussed today, people have opinions about us because I think it's because of that we don't have the strength to come out and tell our story. So we need support to feel stronger, and then it's going to be easier to talk about us and let the world know about our situations. And well, I like to do things thoroughly, so I also went in education to become a coach to support involuntary childless, to have this one-to-one meetups. And I just finished my book. I found out last week. I mean, I've been writing my book with a coaching author, kind of, and she told me last week, your book is now finished, about being childless. I have 9 other women in the book as well, and different situations, and write about everything that affects us. So now I hope it will get published. And for me, it has always been natural to speak out about my situation, because I want to live my life to the fullest and stand up for who I am. And I can feel that I appreciate my childless life more now. I could say I'm childless still, even though I have nieces and nephews. But I think, I'm starting to appreciate my life more. And that is very hard to accept for me. But I do live a good life. No, so thank you for listening.
Our third speaker is Elisabeth Tøtte Hansen. She started working as a journalist at the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, NRK, and she's worked on many topics. She's at NRK Vestfold at the moment. She's a TV reporter, and she also hosts an afternoon radio show.
Well, after listening to all of you, I've almost decided to ditch my notes. But I think I'll keep them here anyway, it's safer. Well, listening to all of you has been, a big eye-opener, because I can relate to so many of the things that has been said. And And I think it's so important to talk about difficult matters, not keep quiet. And not being able to have a child is a difficult matter. And I made a radio documentary about it. Actually, it was supposed to be a happy ending story because the thing is that I met the guy I thought I was going to spend my life with when I was 35, quite old. Tried the old-fashioned way to have a child for a year, didn't work. Went through 8 IVF attempts, didn't work. And then the relationship just went down the drain. So I was standing there alone, realized I had barely any eggs left, and I had no man, which is a pretty difficult situation if you want to have a child. So I ended up going to Spain trying to have embryo adoption, which is a fertilized egg, 2 different donors, 1 sperm donor, 1 egg donor. So that was the thing I was going to make my radio documentary about, a happy ending. I was going to do my very last attempt at becoming a mother, and it was going to work out. But it didn't. So I tried 3 times in Spain. I had 1 total failure and 2 miscarriages. The last one is 1 year ago, almost today. And, well, the documentary was supposed to be about the embryo adoption because quite a few women or couples do that in Norway, but there are no numbers. We don't know because it's not legal. Egg donation isn't legal in Norway. Embryo adoption isn't legal. But instead of making that happy ending story, I think I made something much more important because it was the story about failure. The story about not being able to have a child no matter how hard you tried. And it took me 10 years. I started when I was 35. I'm 45, turning 46 in not too long, and it just didn't work out. But I think I've been lucky no matter what, because I haven't had very many negative reactions from either my friends. They've supported me all along, and they've always taken me in as a part of their families. I mean, almost all my friends have children. But I don't feel like an outsider because I don't have children. I've always been warmly welcomed on holidays and celebrating birthdays and everything. So I guess I'm lucky there. And I've always been open about my own process. Always talk to them about frustrations, about ethical dilemmas, about doing the embryo adoption. Was it right? Wasn't it? Was I just being selfish? What if the child would hate me afterwards? I mean, it could. But then when the documentary was published, it was like a dam burst. I mean, I've never been so popular in my life. It was, I don't know how many emails and SMSs I got from, of course, a lot of people I know, but also from a lot of strangers. From one young girl who told me that she just a couple of days before she heard the documentary got to know that she would never be able to have children. From an older man who told me that him and his wife wasn't able to have children and IVF didn't exist at the time. And they were afraid of adopting because of the racist issue in Norway at that time. And there's just been so many stories that has come to me after I really opened up, not just to my friends, but to all who wanted to listen to the documentary or read the article. And that's why it's so good to hear all of you talking about this. But then again, today, who am I? I'm single. I'm not a mother. There's, like several of you have said, there's no one after me. My sister, she's a lesbian, doesn't really matter, but she doesn't want a child. So there's no one. There's no grandchildren. I don't have any nieces or nephews. There's nobody. So it feels really, really empty at times. And I don't know, I can relate to some of the reactions I got from some of the women that sent me messages, like, I feel like a social misfit. I see people next door with children. I see Facebook filled up with congratulations and Mother's Day happy wishes and all this stuff. But it's not me. And that hurts. It does. But then again, today, I don't know. And I hear this, your research on people regretting to become a mother. What if I had regretted it? If it finally happened after all those years of struggling, and I suddenly realized that, oh my God, I'm going to be a mother. I'm 45. I'm going to be almost like a grandmother before the child starts school. So all in all, maybe it was just meant to be. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend going through all this. But I do recommend my solution, though. I bought a dog. And that's really a good thing. Because I have someone to come home to. It's not just hello walls. It's at least some little living creature that I can take care of it. And I think that's the thing. I really, really wanted to take care of someone. I had a really strange childhood, and I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be a different mother, but I wasn't able to. So, talking about it, I think that's the most important thing we can do, all of us, actually. So, my notes, as I said, they're ditched. Well, that was my little story.
Can I ask something about the language? And it's also about the conference in itself, about relating to yourself as childless and not, for example, as not mothers, or because you said you do have children in your life and maybe we don't take under consideration we can have very different relationships with children, nephews, friends, or being teachers or kindergartens, and we can have many options of being in relationships with children. In my study, I intentionally relate to it as, and I relate to myself as non-mother, not as childless. So I wanted to ask you about, maybe we can think here about the language, why this and not that, and what do you think about, do you relate to yourself as non-mothers or always as childless, or?
I don't relate to myself as a non-mother, no.
Why?
Because I'm a person whether I have a child or not.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't really.
Okay, you think that not, relating to yourself as non-mother is like, you're not a person?
No, not necessarily, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's stigmatizing in a way,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think about myself as involuntarily childless because that's how I feel today. It might change in the future. But for me, that's a kind of a stronger word for me to use.
Yeah, for many years I didn't even want to define myself as child or use the word childless. But the main reason why I did not get children was I was living with a man who did not want children. So I just sort of was patient and waiting for him. So then I was thinking I still have time, so I never sort of defined myself as childless because I had to leave that relationship and try another relationship. So, and then actually at some point I became quite sick because of the pain in the stomach and other things happening in my life. And then immediately after the illness, I met my partner who had children. So I have sort of, I have never really sort of been true childless woman. Do you see what I mean? But I understand why you're asking about language. I mean, the childless woman has very sort of negative connotations, and we should find another word.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just. I don't know exactly.
No, the
When
wo-
we were discussing in Stockholm, I mean, you were suggesting, I don't know how to translate it in English. A significant adult, yeah. Because we can be so many things for so many other people or so many other issues. I mean, and there are many ways of being unbothered. There are many ways of having of being caring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we should help each other to find.
Yeah. You know,
Other
there is the term,
terms,
but it's not what you're talking about. There's the term child-free, but this is for people who
That's voluntary.
volunteer.
Yeah, yeah.
They need languages important.
Yeah.
We need new terms.
Yeah.
We need new terms.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Because by saying childless, we are defining ourselves as a negation,
Yeah.
as something very negative. We're missing something. We're not able to, do something. And which is in a way true, but
Yeah.
then again, we should not stick to that definition.
Yeah, thank you all for your stories. I think, you know, in each one of them, well, I cried when I saw your documentary because it's very emotional and it's even though I have a kid, it's this, you know, dream that needs to be fulfilled, and, you know, to meet women that have not been able to do it or cannot do it or have suffered from it or spend lots of money trying to do this. And a lot of you mentioned, you know, okay, now what? What do I do? But I think you have such powerful stories and you're helping so many people now that we're opening up the conversation, that you are significant women, because you will, I think, help a lot of women who are struggling and men who are struggling with this, because now we are recognizing it and giving it light and attention that it deserves, because I think for a long time it hasn't really been talked about or an issue. So thank you for being brave, I think.
I never felt very brave.
I think it's brave what you do.
I think it's brave too. I think it's very brave.
But I felt I did it on behalf of all the others. I think it was needed, sort of. So I never felt very brave. A lot of my friends kept telling me that you're so brave and that you go, or even during the process, not just making the documentary, but going through all these attempts of getting pregnant. But I never, seriously, never ever felt very brave. It was just, I don't know, it was just what I did.
Yeah, this wasn't the kind of situation that I chose to become. I mean, I was childless, but there was no one there to like guide me or support me in my situation. So I just thought I have to be that person myself. How do I do that? I go to England. I did this education to become a coach, and just read and met other women and talked, what do you want? How do you feel? And how just tried to work it out. And today I'm here. It's just okay. I don't know where this will lead tomorrow, but just take a step at a time and see where it leads me. Hopefully, more women will come.
I think they will when your book gets published.
So we can create a new space for us where we can feel safe and not being questioned.
Yeah, it feels good now to to stand up and tell about your own story, but I've had a lot of ambivalence. I mean, I've asked my photographer and my partner. I have been very ambivalent regarding exposing my story. I guess both because I didn't know if I would manage to sort of go through the emotional pain and sorrow again. And I didn't know if I sort of managed to face the reactions from people, because I'm sure when the documentary is out, if it's being shown, there will probably be all kinds of reactions, both negative and positive. So I have been thinking that maybe it will be too costly. Maybe the vulnerability will be sort of too what do you say? Too big, too high, too much? Thank you. Yeah, but I think I have landed now that this is such an important thing to do, because there are so many women and men out there who suffer, and they do need a voice. Yeah. But I have also felt the aspect of being looked upon as a failure if I sort of go out and tell public. I mean, I've never been considered as a failure by my friends and family and the people around me. I've always received a lot of support. But when you meet people who don't know you, then you might think that they think about you as a failure.
Yeah, and people who don't know you also tend to ask a lot of wrong questions.
Yes.
And that's the thing, when you always have to answer that question. Also, do you have children with, I know, it's like, And some people just fall completely silent and don't know what to say. Others ask a few questions, and then again, others don't really care. You never know. But I know that I never ask anybody if they have children. I never do. I sort of tend to keep the conversation going, and after a while you normally find out whether they have children or not. I never ask.
Like you said before, you feel like you need to be a superwoman if you have children. Supermom. Then I felt like, okay, so then I'm a super loser. Because that's what's, mothers have to be super mothers, and we have going to be super losers. I don't know. And I mean, sometimes
No, we're super
when
women.
I get absolutely. When I get this question about if I have children or not, normally I'm a skin therapist, so I work with clients 2 days a week and do treatments, facials. Welcome.
Just talk.
And sometimes they ask, new clients ask, "Oh, do you have kids?" I said no, and they start continue asking questions, and then I tell them, "No, I'm sorry, it didn't happen for me," and so I try to work that out anyway. And I noticed that people get embarrassed and
Trouble, no? Is it?
Troubled?
Troubled, yeah. And I lose clients. They don't want to come back because it's emotions. Yes, because we, without children, we withdrawn from people with normally small children, and women with, or maybe men as well, with small children, they withdraw from us. So we like draw away from each other. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it's from the both sides. It's like a magnet that doesn't, it just, because they get uncomfortable with us, and we get uncomfortable with them. So we don't get to share their life. I mean, I hear that, and I know research from to my book here. I read a lot of research, and that was one thing that I didn't know before. But it's from the both sides.
See, I don't really relate to that.
No, me neither. So I love my nieces and friends.
Yeah, and I
kids
feel like, especially, I'll say my best friend and her husband, they have 2 children, and I was the first one at the hospital when they both were born, and I'm really close to them, and I always have been. But yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's a wide range.
Yeah.
From, I think this is what happened when you are working through your grief. The people who keep everything from themselves and don't get the support.
No, that's
they feel more
probably true. Yeah.
uncomfortable with others.
But I must admit that I still haven't held an infant after everything has happened. I can't do it. I tried to touch a little baby's hand in October, and I immediately felt like my throat was just swelling off. So I'm not ready to do that yet. No.
Take your time.
Yeah, it's only a year.
Yeah, that's true.
There's 2 things I just wanted to say. The first was that I just thought that was really beautiful film to watch. Visually, I thought it was really sort of powerful, regardless of the content. That itself was really sort of powerful too. The sort of more substantial point I wanted to make is that Robin's thought this as well at the same time. In the UK this week, they're commemorating the centenary of giving the vote to some, but not all women. It's 100 years this week. And a lot of the narratives that are sort of being articulated in the press, the kind of things that the suffragettes were saying, are the kind of things that you've just been saying yourselves about they don't think they were doing a brave thing, but this was a difficult story that had to be told in some way. Somebody had to do it, it's hard for us. So I was really struck as hearing the three of you talk about how in 100 years, and hopefully much sooner, we'll be in a position whereby you'll be seen as sort of leading the way in a conversation that has to be had and has very positive sort of consequences, but clearly comes at a great cost. So that's just what just struck me as hearing you talk.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I just want to add to that, because that was my first impression too when I watched it. It was very beautiful. The scenery and the feeling of it there was a lot of beauty to it, and it made me think of my own process of I don't think grief is linear. I don't think you just go forward, you go back and forth, and there are so many aspects of it. And one of the things that struck me when I watched that small clip, I'm really looking forward to see the whole thing, is that it made me realize that through my own grief, it has actually been, I would almost say it's been like a spiritual process, because nature and sensing just beauty and just leaning into something else. You know, I'm never going to hold that infant of my own, and I'm not comfortable with other infants, but I feel held by nature in a way I probably never would have experienced without having this pain, without having this grief. I don't think I would ever walk in the woods or mountains in the way that I do today. It's the serenity of it, quietness. It brings enormous beauty to my life, and I wouldn't have the one without the other. It's just inseparable in all its pain. That's true. So yeah. So thank you for bringing that out in that.
Thank you for those nice words. And I agree with you. The process of grief is in many ways extremely enriching, because you discover, I guess, new aspects in yourself, in your inner self, and you also, I guess, develop different. Or another way of relating to the rest of the world and to other people. So I agree with you. So I'm actually also I'm grateful for what I have been forced to go through, because it has made me stronger. I feel it has made me. Yeah, it sounds funny. It's funny for me to hear myself say it. It has made me a more complete person in a way. Even though I thought that what would make my life complete was a child or children, and I'm sure it would have. I mean, that is what I was longing for. It would have made my life complete. But and if somebody had told me, like I don't know, 15 years ago, that you will never have your own children and you will become seriously ill and you will go through a lot of grief, I'm very happy nobody told me, because then I would have thought, I don't want that. I mean, Jesus Christ, I can't go through that. But now I'm grateful. So I can relate to what you said.
And I feel like when you long for a child, there's so much love inside of you that needs to come but towards this child that you long for. But today I can feel like I'm grateful for that love, that I get to feel the love, even though I never got to meet my child. So it's that kind of love that keeps me going somehow. So like grief is love with nowhere to go, and all that love I kind of turn back towards me, and it fills me with so much love to been going through all this process. So that's also makes my life more valuable today. So I'm feeling grateful too.
Yeah, I feel like I've become a more patient person. I used to be very impatient. And that's probably why I went through all these, or so many attempts as well. So it's just like, come on. It has to work. But now, I don't know, I've become calm. And that's a good feeling. Content. And I don't mean that you have to have children to live a full life. Not at all. But when you've tried so hard for such a long time, it is like banging your head against the wall.
Should I say something else?
Should we end it there, or is it too much?
We can just have a coffee and continue the discussion.
Yeah, can just add one thing?
Okay, yes.
Just one comment really, as a spoken language. I was just thinking we just talk about being brave or not. And I was just thinking about the word, another word for being brave is courage, which I believe originally comes from cool, like heart in French or Latin. And it basically means speaking from the heart. So it's not like being a superhero or something like that. It's about really being truthful and speaking from your heart. And that's what you all do. And that's why it's so powerful to listen to you.
Oh, beautiful.
And why it's so important. We open up that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. But I think for me as well, I don't know, since it's only a year ago that I decided that enough is enough. Maybe I haven't gone through everything. I haven't thought every thought through. I don't know if I'm grieving or whatever I am, but I know that I have a really, really black sense of humor, and that helps a lot.